And today I have this original Volvo manual as usual, but yeah, a point I have found is this point here. Every 400 operating hours you must do the following things. I know my engine has gone 800 operating hours, but yeah, the only thing I have done is of course change the air filter because it was broken, and last year I replaced the coolant. Yeah, but as one of you have mentioned, I must also clean the heat exchanger, and the injectors must be pressure tested. I have heard from mechanic, boat mechanic. He says the injectors must be pressure tested or adjusted every fifth year. Yeah, and the problem with that is the price to get one injector checked. It is around $120 or something. So it is pretty expensive. But my plan today is to adjust the valve clearance. That was my plan today. And then I think when I get the boat on land, I will also clean the heat exchanger. Yeah, and the injectors, I think I will yeah, pressure test when I get a job, so I have the money for the thing now. Yeah, I have made a drawing, a very beautiful one here, of the cylinder. Here we have the piston here, and we have the injector, and we have an intake valve and an exhaust valve. You adjust the valve clearance here and here with the piston in top dead center. The reason you adjust the valves is because when the engine is running, the valves is opening and closing and opening and closing, and through time the valve seat here gets worn down, and when it gets worn down, the valve will press more against the top. I can show you here. There is a little spring here. There is yeah, pressing up the valve each time it goes up, and yeah, it gets tighter and tighter. But if you don't adjust your valves, the problem is the valve will then not close completely. In the start, yeah, it is okay, but when the engine is running, there will pass a little amount of fuel and yeah, fire, or what do you call it. And the problem is when the engine is compressing, when the big bang is happening, you will get some fire out in the sides of the valves, and that results in the valves get hot. And if you really hit the throttle, the problem is your valves will glow, and when the clearance between the valve and the seat is too great, there will pass too much fire, and in the last end you will burn your valves. It will say you will burn a little hole in the side of the valve, and the valves will then not be pressure tight anymore. It will say your engine will start badly, and the fuel consumption will be very bad. But today I will adjust the clearance because it must be done every 400 hours. And my engine has run the double of that time, so I think it is a good idea to do today. The reason you check or adjust or let a workshop adjust your diesel nozzle or injector is because if the injector grips, it will not spray the diesel into the combustion chamber, and you will not get a complete burn, and it will result in you have some unburned fuel in the combustion chamber, and when the piston is moving up and down, you will press the unburned diesel fuel around the piston and into the engine oil. It results in you are making your engine oil very thin, and you will have more wear on your piston and piston rings. Therefore, it is very important to adjust your injectors every 5th year. I don't think my injectors has been checked in the boat's life, so that is definitely a thing I will do in the future. But for now, it is check of the valves. When you adjust your injectors, you will also get a better fuel consumption, because you will get more fuel burnt when the piston is moving up and down. So if you have bad fuel consumption, or your boat uses a lot of diesel fuel, the injectors can be the problem. But that will I do in another video. To adjust the valve clearance on this MD 2020, the first thing I do is remove the air filter hose here by loosening this bolt here and the spanner there, and then I can remove the whole hose. As you can see, there's no signs of any scratches or anything on the valve cover screws here, so I don't think the engine or this valve cover here has been removed in the engine's lifetime. But that is a way you can check if anything has been done to it. Also look at the injectors. There is no scratch marks or anything, so they have either not been disassembled or anything. I have removed the screw here and just take this off here. Oh. It's not yesterday it has been disassembled, so it is pretty hard to remove here, but it is now removed, the air intake here, so very nice. To remove the valve cover, you can see there is 5 screws you must remove here, and when you have removed them, you can just lift off the cover. I have loosened the bolts here, and they are not tight at all. So just remove the screws here. The screws that is setting here is 10 millimeter, and these ones here is a 12 millimeter top. but pretty easy to remove. Yeah, I also removed the bracket there, so it is a bit more easy to lift up the valve cover. The valve cover is of course a bit stuck because it has been sitting for 14 years, so I just used a little rubber hammer here, or tapped it a couple of times, and then the cover here is loose. I can try to remove it with one hand, but yeah, it is not that easy. Yeah, the valve cover was stuck in the rubber gaskets, but yeah, now it is removed, and as you can see, the holes there is for the air intake. So and if you look a bit, you can see it is a bit dark. It is a sign you have what do you call it, blow by, or what do you call it, where the valves don't close completely. Then you will get some smoke the other way, and that is not good. And also therefore it is important to adjust the valves here. But yeah, let us see how bad or good it is. When you adjust a 3-cylinder diesel engine, you must do it on a certain way. We have cylinder number 1, 2 and 3. But the first thing you do is to turn the crank so you get to top dead center. There is a point on the bottom here where you must align a mark on the crankcase wheel here, and then you have top dead center on cylinder number 1. That is the first step you must do. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but I have aligned the little scratch with the top point down there, so it should be in top dead center. The engine is now standing at top dead center at cylinder number 1, and then I will take my feeler gauge with 0.20 millimeters. It must be the same distance on all the valves, but you can then adjust the 2 valves on cylinder number 1, and then you must also adjust the exhaust valve on cylinder number 3, and I will do that now. Before the adjustment, you can try to flip it a bit here, and as you can see, there's way more play on this one here. So this one must be adjusted a bit, so there's less space between the rock arm and the valve, and this one must be adjusted so there's a bit more, and then we have this one here. Maybe it is okay, but it feels better. I think when it says this here, it is too loose. I have now adjusted valve number 1. As you can see, I just press it in and feel a little resistance. We have valve number 2. I can feel it is saying this sound, and the exhaust at cylinder number 2 also a little resistance. So I think the first 3 valves is probably adjusted. Then I rotate the engine anti-clockwise. It will say backwards this way here, and then I turn it to the opposite side of top dead center on cylinder number 1. It will say it is top dead center on cylinder number 3, and then I can adjust the 2 valves on number 3 and the intake valve on cylinder number 2 here. It will say I adjust these 2 and this one here. I have now rotated the crankshaft here from here until here. It is 2/3 of a turn, and as you can see right now the valve here is totally open, and this one is also totally open. And then I can adjust the valves on cylinder number 3 here. They are loose, and the inlet on cylinder number 2. So this one here is a bit too tight. This one here is also a bit too tight. And this one here is way too loose. But as I mentioned before, I could see there was some, as you can see, it is a bit dark smoke colored here. It will say it presses a bit of the exhaust, or what do you call it, back into the intake here. It will say it is too tight on the 2 inlet valves, so therefore they must have a bit more clearance. Yeah, as you can see, the last valve here is way too loose. I've just adjusted the 2 others. There's a slightly drag here when I put in the feeler gauge, and also the inlet here for cylinder number 2 is also adjusted. There's a slight drag. So these 2 here is correct adjusted, and I will then also adjust the last one. I just take my 10mm wrench here and then just crank it open. What do you call it? Open it, and then I adjust the valve. Then I inset the feeler gauge, what do you call it, and take my screwdriver and slightly screw the screw in here. It must not be tightened at all, just like that, and then you can feel how much it must have. I think it needs a bit more. And when you feel it is feeling okay, like this, it is dragging slightly, then you just remove the feeler gauge and screw in the screw, and then tighten it up. It must not be tightened very much, but it must of course be a bit tight, but just hand tight, that is okay. When the valve is adjusted, you can recheck with your gauge here. As you can see, it is slightly dragging, so it is totally perfect. To be sure you have adjusted the valves correct, you can use a 0.25 feeler thing here, and when you try to put it in here, you can't, and it will say it is adjusted correct. You must only or it must only be possible to put in 0.20. So I think this one here is okay. To be 100% sure, you can turn the engine forward again, and then recheck the valves on the first cylinder and the exhaust on cylinder number 2. But I'll of course do that to be 100% sure everything is okay. I have now rechecked the valves, and everything looks fine. I saw when you are adjusting the valves on cylinder number 3 and the intake on cylinder number 2. When you turn the engine around, as I told you, there is a point where you can feel it is it is feeling like it is the right point. It is hard, and then loose, hard. It must stand, what do you say, between hard and loose, and you can feel it on the crank here. As you can see, it is on a way a bit easy for me to flip it back and forth here, and then it is standing on the bottom of what you call it, and I think it is the right place. So that is a way you can feel to see if it is the right place. I have cleaned the valve cover here, so it is nice and clean. And my plan is to change the 2 gaskets that is here on the cover, because I knew if I don't change them, then it will suddenly leak for a funny reason, don't know. But the 2 gaskets I have bought is this little one here with the original part number, and I have also bought the longer one here. So I will then mount these 2, so I am sure it is totally oil tight, what do you call it. So as you can see, the gasket here is of course pretty flat, and it also looks like it is a bit damaged here, as you can see. Bit funny, but I just remove the 2 gaskets here if I can. Everything is pretty stuck, or what do you call it, when it has gone 15 or 14 years. So I think it is a good idea to mount a new gasket. This one is a bit more easy to remove. Pretty nice. Before I mount the new rubber gaskets, I of course put on some silicone grease to keep the rubber soft, and so I don't get any leaks. There is this one here for the valve side, and the one here for the air intake. And I will then mount the 2 gaskets. Then the new gaskets are mounted. It is it is the best way, or the easiest way, to mount the big one here first, and then mount the small gasket here afterwards. So then I will just mount the valve cover here. I have heard people talk a bit about the ventilation of the crankcase, but on the older engines you vented the engine through this top thing here, but on this model here, you can see there is this thing here with a filter of a kind. And then we have this hole here. It will say it vents the crankcase from here until into here where the air intake is. So if there's any leftovers from the combustion, what do you call it, then it will pass into this and out of this little hole, and then it will be sucked into the engine through the air intake. So but I just saw this, and I think it could be important information for someone. Yeah, then the cover is mounted, and I of course lubricate all the screws with a little grease so they can be removed the next time. The engine has now got some touch-up paint here on the screws, and I have also mounted the intake pipe here, and then I am ready to start up the engine to see or hear if everything is as it must be, but let us try. The engine is now started up, and everything sounds great. I will of course look after any leaks around the valve cover here, so I am sure it doesn't leak any oil. But I think everything is okay. So that is a good thing.